And speaking of dissent, here's what's happening at Amazon. The American e-commerce giant is making headlines. Last month, it joined the Silicon Valley in laying off its employees. Reports say it is aiming to eliminate about 10,000 jobs, mostly in retail, devices, human resources. Last we checked, the process of axing jobs was yet to begin. But even before that, another challenge has emerged for this company. Large-scale protests against its work environment. These protesters are part of a movement that's called Make Amazon Pay, quote unquote. The protesters belong to 80 trade unions, environment action groups, other employee welfare organizations. We will tell you what they are demanding. Let's first take a look at where the protests are taking place. They are taking place in nearly 35 countries, including France, Germany, the US, Ireland, India, South Africa, just to name a few. The next question is, what do these protesters want? A better pay, a better work environment, and more rights. They say they are overworked, underpaid, and have had enough. Let's listen to some voices.
We have 35 countries in the world asking the same thing as us because Amazon is a global company and we all have the same working conditions and the same level of remuneration, which is at the lowest of what countries are allowed to pay. We are all in the same mess, so we're all asking the same thing for salary increases and working conditions worthy of the 21st century.
We're stating our demands in relation to the pressure we're under within Amazon. And that's why we're asking for a salary increase, because we're poorly paid compared to the work we do. We're always asked to meet quotas, and under pressure, people fall sick, are on sick leave, have a work-related accident.
The timing of these protests is interesting. They come right after Amazon reported a rise in revenues. It reported a stellar 13% rise in Q3, and this is across all countries that it operates in. Let's look at the case of one of them, the UK. This year, Amazon services in the UK reported a 60% surge in profits. They soared to a whopping £204 million. And this only suggests that Amazon's market domination is increasing. So naturally, Amazon employees want a piece of the pie. They want their employer to hike the salaries, especially those doing warehouse jobs. They are demanding a wage rise to cope with the cost of living crisis, which has hit their household budgets. Specific wage demands differ from country to country. They vary depending on the kind of the workers and where they are in the scheme of things. But all these workers are united in Amazon's absolute silence on their demands. It is blaming its employees for having ulterior motives. Let me quote a statement from an Amazon spokesperson. These groups represent a variety of interests, and while we are not perfect in any area, if you objectively look at what Amazon is doing on these important matters, you will see that we do take our role and our impact very seriously. Here's the thing now, we have seen similar protests in the past, not just by Amazon employees, but from a host of companies. A common thread that runs through these protests is the employer's denial about the concerns of the employees. Their attempts at discrediting protests as manufactured, their policy of putting profit over welfare. And this seems to have become a commonplace in the corporate world. Companies the world over tend to overlook employee well-being, and you cannot blame them for this. We are living in the era of Jack Ma and Elon Musk. Corporate bosses who prioritize stakeholder management over shareholder management. The recent takeovers, the growing layoffs, the refusal to hike wages, they all reek of extreme capitalism. My point is simple. Employees make the company. They are your number one asset, your biggest resource, your brand ambassadors. They can make or break your business. And this goes for every industry. Whether a retail store or an online business, the rules of leadership apply everywhere. The scale of protests by Amazon employees only proves that the company did not really follow these steps. WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.